This is an excerpt from No Gold Without the Dragon, Chapter 1, Awakening. When I was 21, I was given a stark choice: live or die. It was an event that changed my destiny. I was in my final year of university, and like many of my contemporaries, I had no idea where I was headed. Despite an active student life at the height of the anti-apartheid struggle in the 80s in South Africa, I felt alternately disaffected and disengaged. I was going through the motions of what was expected of me: getting a university degree, being involved in student life, which meant politics and parties, and playing in the city orchestra. A richly textured life of privilege, right? But despite appearances, something vital was missing. I didn't know what that missing piece was until one day everything changed. On an ordinary Friday afternoon, on a remote stretch of road in rural South Africa, the universe threw me a curved ball, which I later came to believe was simultaneously life-threatening, life-changing, and in the final analysis, a lifeline. The curved ball was a serious car accident that I miraculously survived. After a beach holiday with my boyfriend Mike and his family, I was traveling home with his older sister Amber. Amber was driving, and I was in the front passenger seat. We were in an upbeat mood, singing along to the iconic album Cold Fact by Rodriguez. Growing up in South Africa, Cold Fact with its anti-establishment lyrics was the soundtrack of our youth. But suddenly, a voice in my head cut through the familiar lyrics, instructing me to take my seatbelt off. Believe me, I wasn't in the habit of hearing voices, much less listening to them, but this voice was so clear and urgent that I found myself following the curious instruction and unclipping my seatbelt. Instinctively, I stopped singing and scanned the road ahead for any sign of danger. I didn't see anything at first, but then my attention was drawn to a cloud of dust billowing up ahead of us to the left of the main road. Looking more closely, I saw a white pickup truck hurtling along a dirt side road toward the main road. Somehow I just knew it wasn't going to stop. I yelled at Amber to slow down, but it was too late to avoid the inevitable collision. Our car and the oncoming truck collided at nearly full speed in a tangled maelstrom of screeching tires, crunching metal, and breaking glass until everything came to an eerie standstill. On impact, I was thrown into the windscreen and then flung back into the front seat when the car went into a seemingly slow-motion tumble down the highway. I could hear, rather than feel, my head hitting the roof again and again before losing consciousness. The next thing I remember, I was hovering above the wreckage. I was not in my body below, and I could see the car lying upside down in the middle of the road. To this day, I remember my first thought: is this what it's like to be dead? At first, I felt as if I were drifting into nothingness, but then gradually, like eyes adjusting to the darkness, I began to comprehend this new experience. I felt at once weightless and expansive, as if I was suddenly much larger. I wasn't inside my body anymore, but I still felt connected to my sense of self and everything around me. It was light, yet not bright. It was very quiet, yet not silent. I was aware of a faint hum, almost like music, as if the ether I was floating in was alive in some way. Time seemed to have stopped, as if I was suspended in an alternate reality, where ordinary rules like gravity and linear time didn't apply. I drifted further into the spacious timelessness and the deepest sense of inner peace imaginable. The only word that comes close to describing what I felt is bliss, and I wanted to stay there. At some point, I felt a presence with me, and that same clear voice I heard just before the collision told me that I had a choice. I could stay and travel further into the light, or go back into my body and carry on with my life. The voice explained that all I had to do was decide and then think my choice, and whatever I had decided to do would instantly happen. For a moment, I hesitated, wanting to drift in this blissful state forever. But then an unbidden thought arose. I haven't finished what I came to do. I must go back. And even though I had no idea what I had yet to finish, the choice was made. And almost instantly, I felt as if I was spiraling backward, and then with a jolt, I regained consciousness in my body.